You are already inside the cage, not standing, not sitting, suspended. The iron bars scrape softly as your breath hits them, each exhale turning into a thin mist in the cold air. Below you, movement, boots on dirt, fabric brushing, a cough, then silence again. You try to shift your weight, just a little, but the cage answers with a slow, hollow creak. And that's when it settles in. They're not waiting for anything, not a speech, not a sentence, not even a signal. They've already left you here, alive. In some cities, they called it justice, a punishment meant to last, long after the crowd lost interest. A body in a cage, displayed, forgotten. And tonight, you are the one they've chosen to leave behind. Stay with the story, because what happens next is not imagined. This is not a horror story. This is history. The sound above the crowd. You hear it again? Not from below, from above. A slow, uneven scrape of metal. Not wind, not rope. Something moving where nothing should move. You lift your head, as much as the iron allows, and the cage answers before tivstagaish padumate. A low, hollow creak, right next to your ear. For a moment, you don't breathe, because something just shifted. Not the crowd, not the guards, the cage. The square smells like damp wood and bodies. Too many people standing too close together. Wool soaked with fog. Breath hanging in the holodnumu pavitri. No one speaks. They don't need to. You can feel it in the way they stand. Not curious. Waiting. You try to move your hands. The iron bites back. Cold. Unforgiving. Close enough that your knuckles brush against rust with every slight motion. Your shoulders ache. Not from pain. From holding still too long. And that's when you notice something wrong. You are not standing. Your feet don't feel the ground. They hang, barely touching anything. Your weight is not yours anymore. The realization comes slowly, too slowly. You are suspended. A drop of moisture slides down your temple. Cold. You blink, and the world shifts just enough for you to see it. Through the bars, through the blur of faces. Wood, a beam, a rope, above you. You don't remember them lifting you. You remember hands, voices, a push, but not this. Not the moment when your body left the ground. Another sound, closer now. Metal against metal. A slight adjustment. Someone is still here. You turn your head. Too slowly. The bars scrape against your cheek. And then you see him. Not clearly, just a shape at first. Dark coat, gloved hand, holding something long. A pole. He doesn't look at you. Not directly. He looks at the cage, at the joints, at the hooks. You try to speak. Nothing comes out. Your throat is dry, or maybe you already tried to scream earlier, and your voice never came back. The man steps closer. The pole lifts. And for a moment, you think he's going to help you? The crowd leans forward. Not all at once, just enough, like a breath passing through them. But he doesn't open the cage. He doesn't cut the rope. He doesn't speak. He pushes. The cage swings. Not violently. Not enough to throw you. Just enough to remind you. You are not in control of your own body anymore. The movement is slow, heavy, final. The crowd exhales. And then they begin to lose interest. Not immediately, but you can feel it. In the way some people turn away, in the way others shift their weight, in the way a child stops staring. Because they've seen this before. And that's when it happens. Not outside. Inside. The thought. Clear. Sharp. Impossible to ignore. They are not waiting for something to happen. It already has. You are not here to be judged. You are here to be forgotten. The man with the pole steps back. He looks once more. Not at you, at the mechanism, at the way the cage hangs, balanced, stable, secure. Then he turns and walks away. No announcement, no sentence, no final words. Just footsteps fading into the sound of the square, and the creaking returns. Slow, measured, close to your ear. You try to steady yourself, but your body moves with the cage. Every breath, every shift, every second. Time stretches. You look down. The ground feels far. Too far. You look forward. Faces blur. You look up. And there it is. The rope. Not tight enough to kill you. Not loose enough to free you. Just enough. A design. Not for death. For waiting. And somewhere behind you, or above you, or inside the metal itself. You hear it again. A faint movement. A shift that shouldn't be there. Something adjusting. You hold your breath. Because for a second, just a second, it feels like the cage moved on its own. Not from the pole, not from the wind, from inside the structure. And that thought, quiet, unwelcome, stays with you. Because cages like this are not just built to hold a body. They are built to last, to remain, long after the crowd is gone. And that raises a question. One the people below you don't ask anymore. One they stopped asking a long time ago. What happens after they leave? You swallow, but your throat is too dry to answer. Tonight, you are not the first to hang here, and something tells you you will not be the last. After the crowd leaves, the square does not empty all at once. It dissolves, slowly, like fog lifting from stone. At first, you think they're still watching. That somewhere in the blur of shapes, someone is still looking up at you, waiting. But when you focus, really focus, you begin to see the truth. They are leaving, one by one, in pairs, in silence. A woman pulls her child away by the sleeve. A man adjusts his coat and turns his back. Two boys linger longer than they should, then run. No one says anything, because there is nothing left to say. You are not a spectacle anymore. You are the aftermath. The sound changes. That's the first thing you notice. The noise of bodies fades. The low murmur, gone. Footsteps scatter, then disappear. And what remains is quieter. Too quiet. Only the wind now, moving through wood, sliding across iron, whispering through the bars around your face. The cage answers it. A slow creak, a shift, a weight adjusting. You didn't notice it before. Not when the square was full, not when the noise covered everything, but now you feel every movement. The way the cage pulls slightly to one side. The way it settles back. The way your body follows it. Helpless. You try to steady yourself again. But there is nothing to hold on to, only iron, cold, rough, unmoving. You press your forehead lightly against one of the bars. Just for a second. Just to feel something solid. It's colder than you expect. And then, you realize something else. The metal is not smooth, it is worn. Not from weather. From contact. Repeated. Slow. Persistent. You pull back slightly. Look closer. There are marks. Not random, not shallow. Patterns. Scratches. Lines cut into the iron. Some deep, some barely visible. You trace one with your eyes, then another. They cluster in certain places. Around where hands would reach, where fingers would press. Where someone, before you, tried to hold on, or tried to get out. Your breath slows, because suddenly, this cage doesn't feel new. It feels used. You shift your weight, carefully, trying not to make the cage move, but it does anyway. A slight sway, a soft groan of metal, and with that movement, something catches the light. Just above your eye line, you tilt your head. There, a small piece of metal, bent, twisted slightly out of place. It shouldn't be like that. Everything else is precise. measured, built to hold. But that part is different, as if someone tried once to force it open and failed. The wind picks up. Not strong, just enough. Enough to push the cage a little farther this time. You feel your stomach shift. Your balance disappear for a second. And then, stillness again. You look down. The ground feels farther now. Or maybe you're just noticing it more. The square is nearly empty. A few figures remain at the edges. Moving, not watching. You try to find one pair of eyes. Just one. Someone who might look back. But no one does. Because they already know. This part of the punishment is not meant for them. It's meant for you. Alone. You close your eyes for a moment. Not to rest. Not to sleep. Just to understand. Because something about this doesn't feel complete. You were brought here. Lifted. Displayed. But no one explained anything, no charge, no words, no ending, just the act. And that leaves a question. One that sits heavier than the cage itself. How long? You open your eyes again. The light has changed. Softer now. Colder. The kind of light that comes before evening. And with it, another detail begins to surface. At the edge of the square, near the wooden posts. A shape, not moving. You focus. It takes a moment. Because your eyes are tired. Because everything blurs together now. But then, you see it. Another cage. Empty. Hanging. Still. You stare at it. Longer than you should. Because something about it feels wrong. Not because it's empty. Because it isn't. Not really. The bottom is dark. Too dark. As if something once was there and left something behind. Your throat tightens. Because suddenly, you understand something else. This is not a single act. This is a place, a system, a method. Designed not just to punish, but to be seen. And then, to be ignored. The wind moves again. The empty cage shifts slightly. A faint creak. And for a second, just a second, you think you hear something from it. Not the metal, not the rope. Something softer. Something that doesn't belong. You freeze, listening. But the sound is gone. And the square is silent again. You swallow. Because now, another thought begins to form. If that cage was used before, if this one shows marks, if the metal remembers, then there is something no one told you. Something no one needs to say. You are not waiting for death. You are waiting for time. And time, in a cage like this, does not pass the same way. It stretches. It lingers. It leaves traces. On iron. On air. On whatever remains after the crowd is gone. And somewhere behind you, or above you, or inside the structure again, you feel it. A slight movement. Too small to explain. Too real to ignore. The cage shifts. Just enough. As if something inside it adjusted. Not you. Something else. What the cage was made for you. Stop trying to move. Not because you can't. Because you begin to understand. Movement changes nothing. The cage responds to everything. Your breath. Your weight. Even the smallest shift of your shoulders. It answers. Always. You let your head rest against the bars again. Carefully this time. Listening. The iron hums. Not loudly. Not like a sound. More like a memory of one. And slowly, the shape of this thing around you begins to make sense. It is not just a cage. It is built to last. The bars are thick. Too thick to bend. The joints are reinforced. Not decorative. Functional. You trace them with your eyes. Each connection. Each rivet. Each point where the metal meets itself. There are no weak places. Except one. You glance back to it. That bent section. that slight imperfection. It doesn't belong here, which means it was made, not by the builder, by someone inside, before you. The thought lingers longer than it should, because now another question follows it. How long were they here? The wind answers before your mind does. A slow push, the cage sways, and your body follows again. Helpless. You look down. The ground hasn't moved. But something about it feels farther away, not physically, mentally, because the space between you and it is no longer just distance. It is time. And that's when you remember something. Not clearly, not fully, just a fragment. A voice. Not kind, not cruel, matter of fact. Let them see. You didn't understand it then. But you do now. This was never meant to be quick. In some cities, this was not even called execution. It was called display. You blink slowly, because the word fits too well. Display, not death. A difference that matters. Because death ends something. Display extends it. In parts of Europe, cages like this were used for one purpose. Not to kill, to show. Bodies left above the streets, above the gates, above the squares, not hidden, visible for days, sometimes longer. You feel your chest tighten, because that detail was not meant for you. Not when you first heard it. Not when it was just a story. But now, it changes everything, because you are not here for a moment. You are here for time. The realization lands slowly. Like everything else in this place, you are meant to remain. The wind rises again, stronger this time. The cage moves farther, a longer arc. Your stomach drops slightly. Your grip tightens instinctively, even though there is nothing to hold. And then, stillness. You wait, because now you are listening for it. That other movement, that thing you felt before. And for a moment, nothing happens. Just the wind, just the quiet, just your breathing. But then, there, a shift. Not outside, inside the frame of the cage, too small to see. But you feel it. A vibration. As if something, somewhere in the metal, adjusted again. You pull your head back. Slowly. Because now, you are no longer sure you are alone in this structure. You look at the bars again, at the scratches, at the patterns, and something becomes clearer. They are not random. They follow direction. Upward. Repeated attempts. Same motion. Over and over. Fingers dragging. Trying to reach something just out of range, you follow the lines with your eyes. They lead. Not down. Up. Toward the top of the cage. Toward the hook. Toward the place where the structure connects. You swallow. Because now, the bent metal makes sense. Someone tried to reach it. Tried to pull. Tried to change something. Not to escape completely. Just enough to matter. And failed. The air grows colder. Or maybe your body is just noticing it now. Time passes differently here. Not in minutes, in sensations, in discomfort, in awareness. You shift your jaw slightly. Even that feels heavier, slower. And then, another detail surfaces. Your wrists. They ache. Not from restraint, from tension. Because even without chains, your body is still held. By gravity. By position. By the design itself. The cage does not need ropes to bind you. It uses your own weight, your own balance, your own exhaustion. And that is when the next realization arrives. Quiet. Precise. Unavoidable. This is not just punishment. This is engineering. Built by people who understood how long a human body can endure. And how to stretch that limit. Just enough. Not to end it. To prolong it. Your breath catches. Because now, you understand something worse. The crowd leaving was part of it. Because this moment, is where it begins. Not when they lifted you. Not when they brought you here. Now, when you are alone, when the sound fades, when the waiting starts, the cage shifts again, softer this time, almost responding, and once more, you feel it. That presence. Not seen, not heard, but there, somewhere within the structure. As if the cage itself remembers every person who came before you, and hasn't quite let them go. You close your eyes for a moment, because that thought should not exist. And yet, it does. Because cages like this are not emptied quickly. They are replaced, one after another, and something, however small, always remains. The wind stops, completely. The square is silent again. And for a brief moment, you feel nothing move. Not the cage, not the air, not even yourself. And that stillness is worse than anything before, because it feels like a pause, not the end. The beginning of something else, and you are already inside it. Those who stay too long. Silence changes you. Not all at once, not in the way you might call it. It all starts with attention. You start to notice things you didn't notice before. Little things. The way the wind moves unevenly. The way the cage settles, not completely. The way the rope above you holds tension, but not constantly. It tightens. It relaxes. It tightens again. It's like the structure is alive. You open your eyes wider. You try to follow the movement, but it's never where you expect it to be. Always out of your focus. And slowly, you start to understand something else. This place wasn't built once. It was built over time, modified, adjusted, used. You look at the bent section again, then the scratches, then the joints. Each one tells the same story. Not about building, about fixing, about failing, about something that had to be changed, because something went wrong before. The thought settles deeper than you would like. What could possibly go wrong in a cage built to keep you out? The answer comes quietly, too quietly. Not everything that goes wrong by breaking. Some things go wrong for a longer period of time than expected. Your breathing slows because this idea has weight, more than the iron around you. You move a little. The cage responds, and for a moment, you feel it again. That second movement, not yours, not the wind, something else. Inside the structure, you freeze, listening, but nothing happens. Just the faint hum of tension in the metal. And then, something changes. Not in the cage, in the air, the smell, faint at first. You barely notice it, but once you do, you can't ignore it. It's not rot, not quite, something older, dry, lingering, as if the very air remembers what was here before. You swallow, because now you don't want to breathe too deeply, but you have no choice. The smell remains, and with it, a new question. How long does something remain after it's gone? You look back at the empty cage. It's still there? It's still swaying slightly. It's still not empty. And that thought brings something out of the past. Not your past. The past of this place. A historical, shocking scene. There was a man, years before you, not important enough to remember his name, but important enough to be seen. He was put in a cage like this, not in the square, above the city gate, where everyone who enters and everyone who leaves looks up. First, he screamed. Not words, not pleading, just a sound. The kind that makes people look away. But they didn't take him away, because that was the point, to be heard. Then, a day later, he stopped screaming. Not because he wasn't there, because he had learned something. Sound doesn't change anything. People started walking under him, every day. Some looked, some didn't. Some threw things. Bread. Rocks. One man, once, tried to climb out. But the guards stopped him. Not violently. Smoothly. Because interfering wasn't allowed. The cage couldn't be touched. Only seen. Days passed. The man moved less. Then, almost not at all. But he stayed. And that was what worried them. Not death. Duration. Because the body stayed. Long after life had disappeared. And the city around him had changed. The weather. People. Seasons. But the cage stayed. And what was left inside it too. Until one morning, something changed. The cage shifted. A little. Enough for the guards to notice. They climbed up. Not to take him away. To adjust the structure. Because something inside changed the balance. You open your eyes. History doesn't leave you, because now you understand something worse. The cage doesn't need to break. It adapts. It calms down. It mends itself. Around what's inside it. You purse your lips. Because now, this second movement makes sense. Not completely, but enough. Enough to feel it. This slight shift. It's an adjustment. Something you can't see, but you know it's there. You look up. At the rope. At the connection point. At the place where everything is held together. And for the first time, you don't think about how it works. You wonder how many times it's been used. The wind is coming back. Stronger now. The cage swings. Longer. Heavier. Your body follows it. And when it does, you feel it again. Not outside, inside the answer. As if something, inside the structure, has adjusted to fit you. You hold your breath. Because now, you can't imagine it anymore. Something here is not just yours. The cage creaks. The rope tightens. And somewhere in that sound, you hear it. Faint. Almost impossible. But there it is. A second rhythm. Not the wind. Not the wood. Not the iron. Something else. Something that shouldn't be here. And yet, it is. The city. You had to see the squares no longer the same. Not because it has changed, because you have changed. Before, it was a crowd. Noise. Movement. Now, it is a structure. You begin to see lines. Where people stood. Where they gathered. Where they avoided. There is a certain pattern. Even in absence, especially in absence. Your eyes move slowly across the empty space, and you become aware of something disturbing. No one was standing directly below you. Not before. Not now. There is a circle, invisible, but revered. As if the very ground had been marked. Not with paint, not with rope, with memory. You swallow. Because that means something has been here long enough for people to learn where not to stand. The wind changes direction again. The cage responds. But now, you don't just feel it. You study it. Direction. An arc. A boundary. It doesn't swing freely. It stops. At the same point. Every time. You squint. Because it's not a coincidence. It's control. The cage doesn't just hang. It's in place. You look up again. The rope goes through a wooden beam, but the beam itself has marks. Sores. Deep. Repeated. As if something had been stretched there. Many times. You follow the line of the rope, and then you see it. A secondary hook. Not obvious. Not in the center. Off to the side. Almost hidden. Your breathing slows. Because this does not belong to a simple execution. This belongs to something else. Something is set. Something is repeated. In some cities, it was not a single act. It was routine. Bodies displayed at the gates, at crossroads, in market squares, not by chance. Placed where the most people passed, where the eyes could not avoid them, where memory accumulated. And this memory was punishment. You close your eyes briefly, because now the circle beneath you Makes sense. People didn't avoid this place out of fear of you. They avoided it because of what had been here before. Because they remember. And memory, in places like this, doesn't fade quickly. You open your eyes again. The light is weaker now. Longer shadows, sharper contrast. The kind of light that hides more than it shows. And with it, the square changes again. The edges disappear. The details soften. But some things become clearer. Movement at the far end. A figure, not part of the crowd. Not passing through. Standing. Watching. You focus. But your eyes are trying now. The distance stretches differently. The figure doesn't move, doesn't shift, doesn't walk. Just stands there, turning to you. Your chest tightens. Because it's the first person. That's left. You try to hold its gaze. But the cage moves a little. The angle changes. And for a second, you lose them. When the cage calms down again, they're still there, unchanging. You try to scream. Your throat tightens. No sound. Just breathing. Quiet. Shallow. The figure tilts its head. Just slightly. As if studying you. Not with curiosity. With familiarity. And this is worse. Because it means they've seen it before. Not just the act. The consequences. You swallow. And something falls into place. It's not just punishment. It's an instruction. A message. Not for you. For everyone else. You're not the subject. You're an example. Awareness comes to you slowly, because examples aren't meant to end quickly. They're meant to last. You shift again. The cage responds. But now, you feel it differently. Not as movement. As resistance. As if the structure itself has limits. Limits. And you explore them. Slowly. Too slow. The figure at the edge of the square takes one step forward, then stops, still watching. You blink, and for a moment, you think you recognize something. Not a face, a pose, stillness, the way they stand, outside the invisible circle, not entering, not crossing, as if they know exactly where to stop. Your breath catches. Because now, another question arises. Who taught them this? Who showed them where the line is? The wind is turning. Now it's colder. The cage is moving again. And again, you feel it. That second movement. Quieter. Closer. Doesn't match the wind. Doesn't match you. Regardless. You freeze. You listen. The figure doesn't move. The square remains silent. But inside the structure, something is adjusting. A slight pressure. A subtle shift. As if the cage is not empty. Not completely. Your eyes move again. To the scratches. To the bent metal. To the joints. And now, they form a pattern. Not random. Repeated behavior. Repeated attempts. Repeated failure. And something else. Repeated presence. You breathe in slowly. Because the thought that comes is no longer one you can ignore. If the cage remembers, if the structure adapts, if something remains, then this is not just a place where people die. It is a place where something remains, long after they are gone. The figure at the edge of the square turns, without a word, and walks away, leaving you alone again, but not alone enough, because now you can feel it, closer than before. Inside the cage, not touching, not seeing, but present, waiting, as if it has been here longer than you and knows something that you don't. For now. What the body learns. First, your body learns before your mind does. Not a story, not a goal. Boundaries. It all starts with your shoulders. A dull pressure, constant, not pain, not yet. Something quieter, a weight that doesn't go away. You move a little. The cage responds, always, and the pressure changes, moves, spreads, down your arms, into your back. Your fingers twitch, not because you want to, because they have to. seeking a position, for balance. But it's not there. The cage gives you enough space to feel its absence. You breathe in. The air feels thinner now, colder. Each breath is shorter than the last. And that's when something else becomes clear. Your body is not meant to be in this state. Not for long. Not without consequences. Your jaw clenches. Because now, you understand something worse than the cage itself. It's not about holding you still. It's about letting time do the rest. You close your eyes for a moment. And when you open them again, the square has changed. The light fades. The edges dissolve into shadow. The world narrows. And the cage becomes everything. The bars, the joints, the space between. You count them, unconsciously. Because counting gives time a shape. 1, 2, 3, you stop. Because something interrupts the rhythm. A sound. Not the wind, not the tree. Closer. Inside. You stand still. You listen. And then you hear it again. A faint scrape. Short. Uneven. As if something tried to move and stopped. Your breath catches. Because now, it's not far away. It's here. In the frame. You slowly turn your head. The bars press against your skin. You look toward the source. But there's nothing there. Only shadow. Only iron. Only the same space you've been staring at for what seems like hours. And yet, the sound came from there. You swallow. Because your mind is starting to do something dangerous. It fills the silence with possibility. You shake your head slightly. The cage responds. A soft creak. And with it, that second movement again, coinciding with you. Not the wind, not the structure, something else. Your breathing becomes shallow. Because now, you're no longer sure what's yours and what's not. The cold is getting worse. Not outside. Inside your hands. Your fingers feel slower, less sensitive. You try to move them again. They respond, but not immediately. A delay, a small one, but real. And that delay is enough. Because now, you understand something that stories never explained. They never told you what happened in the first place. Not death, not collapse, something quieter. Loss, piece by piece. You close your eyes again, and for a moment, you remember something else. Not your life. A story, the one you heard once. You dismissed, you ignored, because it sounded too slow to be real. But now, it's coming back. Historical shock scene. A man was left in a cage above a market road, not for hours, for days. At first, people avoided looking at him. Then, they got used to him, as always. He didn't die quickly, because that was never the goal. His body weakened gradually. At first, his hands stopped squeezing. Then, his head began to fall forward. Then, he stopped responding to sound. But he remained, visible, present. And this presence became normal. That was what frightened the few who still paid attention. Not that he was suffering, that others had stopped noticing. Until one morning, a merchant passing beneath him heard something, a faint movement. Not above, inside the cage. He looked up, and for a moment, he thought the man had moved, but the body was still. Absolutely still, and yet the cage moved. Just a little. No wind, for no reason. The merchant never spoke of it again. You open your eyes. The story no longer seems far away, it seems close, too close. Because now, you're listening to the same thing, that movement, that sound, that impossibility. You stand still, completely still. Not even your breath moves. And for a moment, there's nothing, just silence. Then, there, a faint shift. Behind you, inside the cage. Not answering to you, not answering to anything. Regardless, real. Your heart beats faster, too loud. You try to turn, but you stop, because now you're not sure you want to see it. Instead, you look ahead, through the bars, at the empty square, at the fading light, because being distracted feels safer, even if it doesn't. The cage creaks, slowly, measured, and again, you feel it. Closer now, not just inside the structure, next to you, too close, like something is shifting its position in the same space. Your breathing stops just a little, and that's enough, because now, whatever is here, knows you've moved. The wind stops completely, and in that silence, you become aware of something you can't undo. You are not waiting alone. Something here has been waiting longer, and now it knows you are here too. The waiting mechanism. You stop trying to understand it as sound, because it doesn't behave like sound, it doesn't echo, it doesn't repeat evenly, it responds. That's what's bothering you. You breathe in slowly. You experience it. You hold your breath. And for a moment, there's nothing, no movement, no shift. Then you breathe out. And the cage responds. A soft tuning. A delay. Not immediately. As if it takes time for some reason to respond. Your throat tightens. Because now, it's no longer an imagination. There's a pattern. Not in the wind, in the response. You close your eyes again. Not to rest. To listen better. The world disappears. The square disappears. The only thing that remains is the structure around you. The bars, the joints, space. And in that space, something else. You move your fingers. Barely. The cage moves. And a second later, something inside it adjusts. You freeze. Because now, you understand something worse than fear. You are part of the mechanism, not separate from it. Integrated. Your movement sets it in motion. Your stillness holds it back. Your presence sustains it. Awareness slowly comes. Because systems like this are not created by chance. They are designed, refined, repeated. You open your eyes again. The light is almost gone. Shadows are stretching across the square. The world below becomes abstract. Shapes. Movement. Darkness. But up above, the top remains clear. The rope. This time you look at it longer. The fibers. The tension. The way it holds. And then, you notice something else. It's not new, not even close. The fibers are worn, not frayed. Compressed. As if they've held weight. Many times. For a long time. You swallow. Because ropes like this are not used once. They are used until they can no longer be used, and then they are replaced. But the beam remains. You look at it again. At the grooves, at the marks, at the history embedded in the wood. And for the first time, you see it clearly. It is not a single event. It is a repetition, a cycle. One body is replaced by another. One presence is layered on top of the previous one, until the structure itself remembers. The cage shifts again, not from the wind. You did not move, and yet it adjusts, a little, as if something inside it finds balance, without you. Your breathing is getting shorter, because it breaks the pattern. The mechanism is no longer responding. It's working. You try to stay perfectly still, to break away from it, to see if it will stop. But it doesn't stop. Another small shift, then stillness, then another, irregular, independent. Your heart is beating faster now, because this is not how structures behave. This is how something inside them behaves. You press your lips together, because your mind is trying to give it a name, and you don't want it to. Not yet. The air is getting heavier, not colder, thicker, as if something invisible is moving closer. You feel it in your chest, in your breath, in the space between you and the bars. You turn your head slightly, slowly. The cage responds, but something else responds too. Closer. In line with the movement. Not perfectly, but enough. Enough to feel it. You stop. It stops. You move again. It follows. A moment behind, pauses, observes. Your throat tightens, because now you are not alone in this pattern. You are part of something that is being learned. Being learned. You close your eyes again, but it doesn't help. Because now you can feel it without seeing it. This presence without touching it. But close. Too close. It's like it's occupying the same space, but not the same position. You inhale sharply, and that's when something else becomes clear. This isn't new, not to the cage, not to the structure, not to what's inside it. It's done this before, many times, with others. You open your eyes, and for a brief moment, you think you see something, not a shape, not a figure, a distortion, a place where the air is uneven, between the bars, over your shoulder, gone as soon as you focus. Your breathing stops, because that was enough to confirm it. Something is here, not a vision, not a memory, the present. And then another thought comes, slowly, cold, inevitably. If something stays, if something is learned, what happens then? When the next person is placed inside, the cage shifts, again, without you. And this time, it feels closer than ever, as if what is here has stepped forward, into your space, into your breath, into your time. And it no longer waits. It watches.
A space you can't share. You feel it before you know it. No sound, no movement, pressure, sticky, but wrong. The space inside the cage has changed. Not in size, not in shape, in density, as if the very air has been displaced. You inhale slowly. Test it. The breath comes in, but there's resistance, like something's already there. You exhale, and for a moment, you feel it move. Not the cage, something else. Adjusting, clearing space. Your chest tightens, because now, it's not far away. It's here, within the same system, shared air. You don't turn back, not right away, because something in you understands that looking straight at it can make it real. You look ahead, through the bars, into the disappearing square, but your attention shifts, back, into the space just above your shoulder. You feel it, close, too close, coinciding with your stillness, waiting. You swallow, and that little movement is enough. The cage reacts, but something else reacts too. Closer, more precisely, with a slight delay. You close your eyes, because now, you don't need to see it. You can map it, the way it responds, the way it follows, the way it adapts. It learns, not quickly, but steadily. You breathe in again, and this time, you feel the resistance faster. It's like whatever's here is coming closer to your chest. Your breath is getting shorter. Not from fear, from space. There's less of it now. Awareness comes slowly. You're not alone in the cage, not physically, but functionally. Something else is taking up the same volume, and it's adapting around you. You purse your lips, because now another memory comes to mind. Not yours. A story. Again, the one people tell quietly, not to explain. To warn. A historical shock scene. There was a woman placed in a hanging cage outside the city wall, not in the square, on the edge, where travelers passed. She didn't scream, not at first. She remained still, watching, longer than they expected. People began to notice, not her suffering.
Her stillness. Days passed. She moved less. Then she almost stopped. But something else changed. The cage began to move. Not from the wind, not from movement. At night. Irregular. Incomprehensible. The guards checked the structure. They tightened the connections. They adjusted the hooks. They found nothing wrong. And yet, it continued. Until one night, a man walking under it stopped. Because he heard something. Not from above. Inside. 2 breaths. Out of sync. Not coinciding. Separately. He didn't stay. He didn't come back. And by morning, no one had spoken of it again. You open your eyes. Your breathing catches. Because now, you're listening to the same thing, not movement, breathing. You stand still. Absolutely still. Your chest barely rises. Barely falls. And for a moment, there is only one rhythm. Yours. Then, you hear it. Faintly. Almost nothing. But there is. A second pattern. Doesn't match yours. Doesn't match. Separately. Your heart beats. Because it can't. There's no room. There's no room for anything else to breathe, and yet, it breathes. You turn your head. Slowly. Too slowly. The bars scrape against your skin. The cage responds. But something else responds too. Closer now. In sync with your movement. Then, right behind her, you stop. Because now, you're facing space. The place where it should be. But there's nothing. Only darkness. Only shadow. Only the outline of the bars. And yet, the pressure remains. Closer than before. You inhale sharply. And the air resists you again. This time harder. As if something has come between you and space itself. You throw your head back, instinctively. But there's nowhere to go. The cage holds you. The structure contains you. And whatever is here adjusts, picking you up, studying you. You close your eyes again, because seeing nothing is worse than seeing something. At least you could understand something. This is impossible. The cage creaks, slowly, hard. And then, for the first time, you feel its touch. Not your skin, not directly. The air between you, a disturbance, a shift in space. It's as if something has passed through you without contact. Your breathing is interrupted because now the border is gone. There is no separation, only overlap. Awareness comes, sharp, final. Whatever was here before is gone, and now it has come closer, in the same space, in the same moment, in you. The second breath continues, faint, constant, inevitable. And now, you can no longer pretend that it is yours. The second presence. You stop trying to separate it from you, because you can't. Each breath now is vague. You breathe in. One. Then another. Not yours. Weak. Delayed. But consistent. You press your tongue to the roof of your mouth. You try to feel your own rhythm. You try to bring it back. But it slips away. Because now, your body is responding to something else. Adapting. Attuning. You close your eyes. And listen. Not the wind. Not the cage. The space between breaths. It lives there. In the space. In the pause. At a moment when nothing should be. You count. 1. Silence. 2. Silence. 3. No. Something interrupts. The second pattern. Violation of the count. Violation of control. Your chest tightens. Because it is not accidental, it is stable, predictable, regardless. You inhale sharply, and the second breath follows it. It is closer now. The distance between them is smaller, as if it has come closer. It responds to you more precisely. You open your eyes. The world has narrowed again. There is no square anymore. There is no crowd. There is no distance. Only the cage. Only the bars. Only the space inside them. And something that divides it. You turn your head. Slowly. Measured. You take your time. Because something in you understands. If you move too fast, it can react faster. The slats slide across your vision. One by one. Dark. Cold. Still. And then, there. A warp. Not a figure. A place where the air bends just a little. Exactly that much. Between two slats. Over your shoulder. Disappears as you focus. Your breathing hitches again. Because now, you've seen it. Not clearly, but enough. Enough to confirm. Enough to be afraid. The cage shifts. You haven't moved. The wind hasn't moved. And yet, it adjusts. To that space. Not away. To it. Your throat tightens. Because now, the very structure recognizes it, adapts to it, balancing around it. You close your eyes again. Because now, you don't want to see it sharpen. You don't want it to become definite. Because definite things can act. Indefinite things just exist. And existence is already too much. The second breath comes again. Closer. Warmer. No, not warmer. Present. You inhale, and for the first time, feel resistance right in front of your face. Not a bar. Something else. Between you and the air. You instinctively step back. The cage stops you. And the movement reflects, after a while, from the same space. As if something has also been pulled back. You freeze. Because now, there is no doubt, it is responding. To you. Not by chance. Not on its own. Relationally, you swallow. And that little movement repeats again. Closer. More precise. More aware. You open your eyes. Slowly. And this time, you're not looking directly at it. You're looking past it. Through it. Using the lattice as a guide. And for a second, you see it again. Distortion. More intense now. More defined. It's as if space itself has learned to hold its shape. Your heart is beating wildly because it's not subtle anymore. It's forming. Something is becoming. Not completely, not yet, but enough to exist. The cage creaks. This time louder. Tense. As if adjusting to a new weight. Additional weight. Your breath catches in your throat. Because now, the structure confirms it. You're not alone. Not in theory. In mass. In the presence. In reality. The second breath continues. Constantly. Close. In your space. In your rhythm. In your moment. And then, another thought comes. Slowly. Inevitably. If something is forming. If something is present. If something is left here. Then what happens? When does it end? The cage shifts again. Towards you. A little. And for the first time, you feel something that is not yours, that coincides with your position. Not touching. Not yet. But close enough. Too close. The second breath stops. Just for a moment. And in that silence, you realize something worse than anything before. This is not just a reaction. This is waiting for something. For a moment. For a change. For you. As it begins to level out, you stop breathing for a moment, not by choice, because something else has taken control of the rhythm. You wait. You listen. The second breath stops. Then it comes back. Closer. More precise. Almost. In sync. Your chest tightens. Because now it's no longer separate. It levels out. You inhale. It follows. After a while, you exhale. It follows again. A brief pause. Reducing distance. Learning the pattern. You open your eyes. Slowly. The world now seems narrower. Compressed. As if the space inside the cage has shrunk. Or something inside it has expanded. You turn your head, and this time, you don't lose it. The distortion remains. Faint, but steady. Held between the bars. Not fully visible, but no longer gone. Your throat tightens. Because now, you're looking at something that's beginning to exist. The cage creaks. Louder. Not from the wind. From the adjustment. Your joints tighten a little. The rope tightens. As if compensating. As if balancing a new weight. You swallow. Because now, the structure confirms it again. There's more here than before. You close your eyes briefly. But it doesn't do anything. Because now, you feel it. Not as a presence. As a closeness. It's right behind you. Close enough that your breathing changes before you know why. You breathe in, and the air is already occupied. You breathe out, and something else instantly fills the space. No delay, no gap. Your heart races. Because the gap, the only place she lived, is gone. You open your eyes, and this time, you don't look at her. You look ahead, through the bars, into the empty square. Because something inside you understands that returning to her now will complete something, and you don't know what it is. The cage shifts. You haven't moved. It adjusts again. Closer. The bars press lightly against your shoulder. A subtle change, but enough. Enough to feel the confinement deepen. You close your eyes again, and then it happens. For the first time, your breath and the second breath match. Perfect. Inhale, inhale, outhale, outhale. No delay, no separation. One rhythm. Your chest tightens. Because now, you can't tell which one is yours. You try to break it. Inhale faster. It follows. The exhale is slower. It adjusts. Whatever you do, it responds to you, or you respond to it. You don't know what exactly. Awareness hits, sharply, immediately. You're no longer separate from it. You're in sync. The cage creaks again, firmer, tense, as if holding something it wasn't meant to hold, or something it was made to hold, but not immediately. Your breath stops, just a little, and for a moment, the rhythm is broken. The second breath continues, without you. Constantly, constantly. Your chest tightens. Because now, you understand something worse than before. It doesn't need you. It just needed to learn you. You inhale sharply. You try to regain control, but the rhythm returns. It responds again. Perfect. Inevitable. And then, another thought comes. Slowly, cold, finally, if it has learned your breathing, if it responds to your rhythm, if it occupies the same space, then what happens when it no longer needs to follow? The cage shifts, closer. The bars press harder. Your shoulder is slightly clamped. Your movement has decreased. The space has decreased. And for the first time, you feel it. Not as pressure, not as air, not as movement, as a position. Something is exactly where you would be if you had stepped back, but you didn't. And yet, it's there. You freeze. Because now there's no room to deny it. You're in the same place, the same moment, the same structure, and it's no longer behind you, it's with you, aligned, ready. A historical scene of shock. There was a report, rare, not widely documented, because it was ignored. But it existed. A guard. He was assigned to check the hanging cage in a few days. Routine. Mechanical. He climbed up. Cautiously. Not expecting anything. Just to confirm the structure, to adjust, to ensure stability. But when he reached the cage, he hesitated. Not because of what he saw, because of what he felt. The air inside was wrong. Thick. Tense. He reached for the bars. Slowly. And for a moment, he pulled his hand back, as if something resisted. But there was nothing there. Nothing visible. Nothing clear. And yet, he didn't touch him again. He went down. He said nothing. And he never returned to that post again. You open your eyes! The story no longer seems distant. It seems immediate. Because now you understand exactly what he felt. Air, resistance, presence, alignment. You breathe in. The second breath coincides. Perfect. You breathe out. Still coincides. No difference. No separation. And then, for the first time, you feel something different. Change. Not in position, in intention. The rhythm stops, just for a moment. Then it resumes, but differently. Not following, leading. Your breathing adjusts, without permission. Following, not the other way around. Your chest tightens, because now you are not in control of the situation. You are being led, slowly, unobtrusively. The cage creaks, the rope tightens, the structure holds, but something inside it has captured the pattern, and you are already a part of it. The sound above. You hear it again. The same sound. From above. A slow, uneven scrape of metal. Not wind, not rope. Something moving where nothing should move. At the beginning, you didn't understand it. You thought it came from outside, from the structure, from the beam, from the mechanism. But now, you don't look up immediately, because now you know something you didn't before. The cage does not move on its own. Not at first. It responds. It adjusts. It balances around what is inside it. You inhale. The breath is no longer yours. It hasn't been for some time. The rhythm continues. Steady, controlled. Not by you. You close your eyes and listen. The sound above you comes again. Closer. More defined. A shift in the hook. A slight tension in the rope, but now you recognize it. It is not random. It is correction, adjustment, the structure responding to a change in weight. Your throat tightens, because now you understand what changed. Not the cage, not the rope, not the wind. You, or what is inside with you. You open your eyes slowly, and for the first time, you don't search for it. You accept it. The space beside you is no longer empty. The air no longer belongs only to you. The rhythm is no longer yours. You tilt your head slightly, testing. The cage responds, and something else responds with it. Perfectly aligned. No delay. No hesitation. The second presence is no longer learning. It knows. You swallow. But even that is shared now. The movement echoes, inside the same space. You look up, finally, at the rope, at the hook, at the point where everything connects. And now, you see what you missed before. The angle is different. Slightly. Barely. But enough. The cage hangs lower. Not much. Just enough. As if something inside has added weight. You close your eyes again, because that confirms it. Not imagined. Not abstract. Real. The structure recognizes it. Balances it. Holds it. The sound comes again. From above. The same scrape. The same correction. But now, it doesn't feel external. It feels connected. As if the movement above is answering something below. You inhale. The breath is steady. Not yours. You exhale. Still steady. Still controlled. And then, the rhythm changes. Just slightly. Slower. Deeper. More deliberate. Your chest follows. Without choice. You try to resist. Just a little. To break the pattern. To take control. But it doesn't work. Because now, the pattern is stronger than you. It has learned too much, adjusted too precisely, integrated too deeply. You open your eyes, and for a moment, you see it. Not clearly, not fully, but enough. A shape, formed not from matter, but from absence. A place where the air bends inward. Holding position, beside you, aligned with your body, matching your posture, your height, your stillness. Gone the moment you focus, but the impression remains. Sharp, unavoidable. Your breath falters. just slightly. And for a moment, the rhythm breaks again. The second breath continues. Without you. Then, slowly, you fall back into it. Matching. Following. Obeying. You close your eyes. Because now, there is nothing left to confirm. Nothing left to question. Only one realization remains. The one that was hidden at the beginning. The one the sound was trying to tell you. The one you couldn't understand. Until now. You were never placed here alone. You were placed here to join something. The cage shifts. Above you. Below you. Around you. And now, the sound makes sense. Not something moving in the structure. Something being added to it, balanced into it, becoming part of it. You inhale, and the breath continues. Not separate, not yours. Shared. The square below is gone now. The world is gone. There is only the cage, only the structure, only the pattern, and you inside it. No longer alone, no longer separate, no longer waiting. You are part of what remains. What remains? You don't fight it anymore. Not because you gave up, because there is nothing left to resist. The rhythm is steady. Inhale. Exhale. Not yours. Shared. You let it continue. Because now, you understand. Not everything, but enough. Enough to see the pattern. Enough to feel the truth behind it. You open your eyes. Slowly. The square is gone. Not physically, but from you. Your world is smaller now. Contained. Defined by iron. Defined by space. Defined by presence. And that presence is no longer separate. You look at the bars, at the scratches, at the marks left by hands before yours. And now, they are not just signs of struggle. They are records of time, of duration, of what happens when a body remains longer than it should. You inhale. The breath is calm. Too calm. You no longer try to separate it. Because you can't. Because it has already crossed that line. And then, another realization arrives. Not about the cage. Not about the presence. About the system. Because cages like this were never meant to hold just one moment. They were meant to accumulate. Layer after layer. Presence after presence. Memory after memory. Not visible, but real. Felt. Embedded in the structure itself. You close your eyes again. And now you can feel it differently. Not as something beside you, not as something behind you, but as something within the space itself. Within the cage, within the air, within the pattern. You inhale, and the breath continues. Steady. Endless. You exhale, and there is no gap anymore, no pause, no separation. Just continuity. You open your eyes, and for a moment, you see the scratches again. But they are clearer now, deeper, more numerous than you thought, because you are looking differently, not at the surface, at the repetition, at the history layered into the metal. Each mark, a moment. Each line, a duration. Each pattern, a presence that stayed longer than expected. You swallow. But the movement feels distant now. Slower. Less defined. Because your body is no longer the center. The structure is. The system is. You are part of it now. Balanced into it. Held within it. You look up again. At the rope. At the hook. At the place where everything connects. And now, you understand the sound. The one you heard at the beginning. The one that confused you. The one that didn't belong. It was never the cage moving. It was the structure adjusting. To include you. To balance you. To integrate you. Into what was already here. The sound was not random. It was correction, alignment, acceptance. You inhale, and the breath continues. Not yours. Not separate. Part of the system now. You close your eyes, and for the first time, there is no fear. Not because it ended, because it changed. You are no longer waiting for something to happen. You are part of what happens. The cage creaks, soft, familiar, and somewhere, far away, or very close, a new sound appears. Footsteps. Faint. Distant. Approaching the square. You don't open your eyes, because you already know. The pattern continues. Another presence, another moment, another body placed into the structure. You inhale, and the rhythm holds. Steady, endless, waiting, not for you, for the next. And when they arrive, they will hear it too. The sound above, the movement that doesn't make sense, the breath that isn't theirs. And they will try to understand it. The same way you did. Too slowly. Too late. You remain still. Not because you choose to. Because you are already part of what remains. The cage holds. The structure adjusts. The system continues. And somewhere within it, you are still there. Not alone. Never alone. This is not a horror story. This is history.